professional hitman was suddenly targeted by a red dot. Luckily, Dan reacted quickly and narrowly avoided the deadly shot. With his agile skills, Dan swiftly took down 2 of the attackers. But unfortunately, his wife was taken hostage. Under threat, Dan reluctantly dropped his weapon. However, the hitman's constant rambling gave Dan the chance to act. He quickly threw a dart and took the attacker down. Dan's actions shocked his wife, Jessica. Her normally timid husband had just acted so decisively and ruthlessly. There was no time to explain. They rushed to the gaming arena. They found their 3 kids and planned to take them to safety. On the way, Dan revealed the truth to the kids.
Before I met your mom, I was a covert assassin. I escaped that life and now they found us.
The 3 kids couldn't help but laugh. To them, their dad was just a mild-mannered stay-at-home dad. While they were still laughing, a hitman appeared and charged at them. To protect his family, Dan quickly took them to a safer, more crowded area. He found a hidden spot to settle them down before heading to the car show alone. Dan opened a car door and shoved it towards the hitman. After dealing with the attacker, Dan grabbed his weapon. In the chaos, he temporarily got his family out of harm's way. During this brief moment of safety, Dan shared with his family that he had once been a Navy SEAL. After retiring, he joined a secretive organization. At first, the leader of the organization, McCaffrey, was a good guy. He often robbed the rich to help the poor. But not long after, he changed and turned the organization into a tool for his personal wealth. Realizing something was wrong, Dan quietly left the group and started a new life. However, McCaffrey had been hunting Dan down for years. McCaffrey's pursuit was a tactic to force Dan to return and continue working for his financial gain. Dan decided to take his family to another country to hide out. But the kids didn't accept this decision. They felt it would ruin their lives. His wife also couldn't accept it. The next day, no matter how much Dan tried to convince them, his wife left with the kids. Jessica went to the airport and met a friend she had known only for a few days. Though she didn't know him well, her politeness and charm made her feel safe. So she boarded the plane with the kids. At that moment, Jessica saw McCaffrey, the leader of the organization. It turned out this woman wasn't just McCaffrey's accomplice. She was Dan's ex-girlfriend. Soon after, Dan received a threatening phone call from McCaffrey. In a hurry to save his wife and kids, Dan drove to the designated meeting spot. When he met McCaffrey, their conversation stunned Dan's family once again.
Why start now, Dad? I'm sorry, what?
I'm your grandfather, Kyle.
Reluctantly, Dan agreed to his father's demands. McCaffrey was thrilled and immediately released Dan's family. However, in order to fully bring Dan back, McCaffrey forced him to reunite with his ex-girlfriend. But halfway through, Dan managed to break free from his restraints. He found a weapon on his ex-girlfriend and decided to confront McCaffrey once and for all. Even though McCaffrey's men were no match for Dan, he ultimately found himself at a disadvantage in the confrontation with his father. Just as McCaffrey was about to finish Dan off, Jessica suddenly returned with the kids. Her granddaughter, Nina, kept shouting, "Grandpa!" This distracted McCaffrey, and giving Dan the opportunity to take down his father. At the end of the story, McCaffrey was sent to prison. Dan and his family were finally able to live a peaceful and stable life.